Fidelity is an elastic concept, but my patience has the thickness of a worn silk thread, and all it took to slit the jugular of my own sanity was a damn 1998 photograph hidden at the bottom of a sock drawer. I always considered myself a woman above such pettiness, a more evolved creature who prefers good wine to a good public meltdown. But fate, that drunken screenwriter, decided I would become the most bitter amateur detective in the South Side on that rainy Tuesday. Tom was in the shower, water hitting the tiles with an irritating rhythm, and I was just looking for a charger. What I found instead was my passport to emotional confinement. Between a pair of hole-ridden wool socks and a broken watch, there it was. A square photograph with worn edges and that natural sepia filter only time and neglect can produce. At the center of the image, a tiny Tom sporting that bowl-cut hairstyle that should be classified as a crime against childhood, smiled at the camera. But he wasn't alone. A woman held him by the shoulders. She wasn't an aunt. She wasn't Mrs. Alice, my mother-in-law, whose cheeks always seemed to carry the weight of 1,000 milk puddings. This woman had a sparkle in her eyes that made me instantly nauseous. It was a raw kind of beauty, something between a hippie who got lost on the way back from a festival and a soap opera villain from the 6 o'clock slot. She wore a daisy print dress that screamed, "I'm free and will probably steal your future husband," and her hand, oh, her hand rested on his shoulder with an intimacy that made me want to burn the entire apartment to the ground. Steam from the bathroom began creeping into the bedroom, bringing with it the smell of Tom's mint shampoo, and I felt a sudden hatred even for that scent. How could he? How dare he have a past that hadn't gone through my approval filter? Who was that creature? I flipped the photo over, expecting to find a name, a date, a blood-written confession of guilt, but there was only a coffee stain and what looked like the remains of a star sticker. My mind, already naturally inclined toward Greek tragedy screenplays, went into overdrive. A hidden sister? A family secret worthy of a daytime TV show? Or worse, the love of his life, who abandoned him and left behind a trauma he now masks with sarcasm and jokes about the price of avocados? I put the photo back exactly where it had been, but the damage was done. When Tom came out of the shower, wrapped in that white towel I had bought myself, I saw him through X-ray vision. Every movement, the way he dried his hair, the way he whistled some stupid Coldplay song, everything felt like an affront. I wanted to scream, wanted to throw the charger at his head and ask who the Daisy woman was, but I am Mary. And Mary does not ask direct questions when she can torture herself with unfounded assumptions for weeks. I smiled. A smile that, had he been even slightly smarter, would have sent him fleeing to another country. "You okay, love?" he asked, in the voice of someone who doesn't have a corpse in the closet. "Perfectly fine, dear. Just thinking about what we'll have for dinner," I replied, while mentally placing orders for both his coffin and the woman's from the photo. The investigation officially began at midnight. While Tom snored beside me, a snore that now sounded like rhythmic mockery, I opened my laptop. I started with the obvious, social media. But how do you search for someone you only know from a 20-year-old photo? Woman Daisy dress Tom childhood.